Now, Long Island's largest radio news team brings you the Associated Press award-winning program, Newsline.
Coming up on Newsline, Wednesday, April 10th, 2024.
Republicans are backstepping on the Arizona abortion ban decision.
The Japanese Prime Minister visits the United States.
Eid al-Fitr festivities are overshadowed by the war in Gaza.
And inflation still remains high in the U.S.
In business news, the FCC has introduced new rules requiring broadband labels for internet packages. Woodford Reserve undermined union efforts, and the U.S. stock falls on high March inflation. I'm Jack Ferretti, and I'll have all that and more later in the broadcast.
In entertainment today, Travis Kelce opens up about his romance with pop star Taylor Swift. Updates on the proposed Jon Snow Game of Thrones sequel, and more developments in the Diddy case. I'm Jasmine Sellers, and I'll have all that and more later in the broadcast.
In sports, the Yankees are back in action today to wrap up their series against the Marlins, while the Knicks have finally completed an old trade. I'm Nate Taylor, and I'll have all that and more later in the broadcast.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Peter Nicolino.
And I'm Cameron Bowden. We begin tonight's broadcast in the Southwest, where numerous powerful Arizona Republicans and former President Donald Trump have backstepped their previous praise for the near-total abortion ban that came into effect yesterday in the state. In response to the ban taking effect and the backlash that many in the state had, former President Donald Trump said, quote, "It'll be straightened out, and I'm sure that the governor and everybody else are going to bring it back into reason, and that'll be taken care of, I think, very quickly." The ban stems from a ruling yesterday by Arizona's Supreme Court, which relied on an 1864 law that barred almost all cases for an abortion in the state. A multitude of Republicans in the state issued statements in opposition to the ruling, despite previously pushing for a ban. Also overnight, many top Democrats in the state spoke out against the decision, like Senator Mark Kelly, who scrutinized the ruling over its impacts on doctors.
This is going to criminalize doctors for doing their jobs, and it's going to have a devastating effect on the health and freedom of women in Arizona.
Arizonan Senate candidate Republican Carrie Lake once called the statute, quote, "a great law," but says today that the ruling was out of step with Arizonans.
President Joe Biden welcomed Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida today. The two held a joint press conference to talk about security in the Pacific and a merger between a U.S. and Japanese steel company. The meeting today cemented the two countries' allyship together. Here's President Biden.
The alliance between Japan and the United States is the cornerstone of peace, security, prosperity in the Indo-Pacific and around the world. Ours is truly a global partnership. For that, Mr. Prime Minister Kishida, I thank you.
The official visit marked the Biden administration's work towards courting members of the Quad, an informal partnership between the U.S., Australia, Japan, and India. Officials in the Biden administration claim they saved the most vital and pivotal relationship for last. This marks Japan's change from a regional to international player in world affairs.
All across the globe, Muslims are celebrating the Eid al-Fitr holiday, signifying the end of the holy month of Ramadan. The festivities come during a tumultuous time, however, as the war in Gaza rages on with Israel's military offensive in the Strip lasting over 6 months. During a speech in Kenya's capital city of Nairobi, Imam Abdul Rahman Musa said, "We should not forget our brothers and sisters in Palestine. They have been subjected to unjustified aggression and a lot of violence as the world is watching in silence."
Reports have found that consumer inflation still remained high in March, mainly because of a high gas, rent, and auto insurance. The Federal Reserve is now expected to pause any actions in cutting interest rates. In a press conference today, President Joe Biden shared that he still believes a cut will occur.
Well, I do stand by my prediction that before the year is out, there'll be a rate cut. This may delay it a month or so. I'm not sure of that. We don't know what the Fed is going to do for certain.
Prices outside food and energy have also risen between February and March, which accelerated at the same time from January to February. Core prices were up nearly 4% from this time in 2023. The readings in March highlight evidence that inflation is stuck at a level that is too high, which is concerning given the steady decline in the second half of 2023. These levels threaten the prospect of multiple interest rate cuts throughout the year.
The Biden administration set the first ever national limits on forever chemicals in drinking water. The rule requires utilities to reduce perfluoric octanic acid to 4 parts per trillion and other forever chemicals to 10 parts per trillion. EPA officials say that these chemicals are linked to thousands of illnesses, some of which are cancers. Providers must test and notify the public of high levels. While praised by health advocates, utilities warn the standards will be costly, which could raise bills. The administration will provide $1 billion to help communities meet the new requirements.
Now on to a story out of Philadelphia. At least 2 people have been shot at an Eid al-Fitr festival. A law enforcement official said that the investigation is ongoing and is not immediately clear what caused the shooting, as well as how many shooters were involved. The conditions of those involved in the shooting were not immediately disclosed, but they are being treated at a hospital. Dozens of officers responded to the shooting in city's Parkside area, where residents were celebrating the end of the holy month of Ramadan.
Coming up after your Newsline business report with Jack Ferretti, Nassau County Executive Blakeman abandons his citizen deputy policy, Mayor Eric Adams is at risk of losing control of NYC schools, and $126 million have been stolen in scams from elders on Long Island. But first, your Newsline traffic and weather update with Dorcas Umaru. WRHU News Time is 5:36.
Newsline. Up to the minute local traffic.
In Hempstead Turnpike East between Rockaway Avenue and Westminster Road and Broad Street Route 24, we are seeing road construction. Please stay patient and drive safely out there. On the South End State Parkway, there is little to no traffic. Congestion is building up near Exit 19, Peninsula Boulevard. Keep this in mind as you make your way through this area. Moving over to the rails, on the Hempstead branch, we are experiencing delay due to cable repairs. It is advisable to use the nearby Bell Road station instead. There is also service change on the West Hempstead branch. All other lines are on or close to schedule. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a smooth ride into the city. Up in the sky, there's high volume departure delays at Newark and JFK Airport due to weather and construction. There is no significant delays at LaGuardia Airport, but please check with your carrier before heading out. Currently, we are experiencing clear skies with a temperature of 62 degrees outside our station here in Hempstead. It's a beautiful evening to go out and enjoy a walk. As we move into tonight, temperatures will drop to a comfortable 55 degrees with partly cloudy skies. A light breeze will keep things feeling pleasant throughout the night, so be sure to take advantage of the nice weather while it lasts. With your Newsline traffic update, I'm Dorcas Umaru, and I'll be back with another update coming up later in the broadcast.
Newsline Business News.
The Federal Communications Commission has introduced new rules requiring broadband labels for Internet packages, similar to nutritional labels on food products starting April 10th. Internet service providers must display all these labels at all points of sale. That information must include pricing details, data allowances, speeds, and more. These labels provide consumers with clear and transparent information about the cost and performance of their high-speed Internet service. The labels will also include links to network management practices and privacy policies. Providers failing to comply with these must face complaints filed through the FCC Consumer Complaint Center. While most providers must implement these labels by April, smaller firms have until October 10th to comply. In other news, Woodford Reserve, a premier bourbon and whiskey maker in the United States, attempted to undermine unionization efforts at its Kentucky distillery. The company did so by awarding pay raises, relaxing their vacation policies, and handing out bottles of their whiskey to workers before a key unionization vote. An administrative law judge from the National Border Relations Board, Andrew S. Gollin, says the timing of the sweeteners were efforts to disrupt the vote. While the 20-22 unionization vote did fail, Gollin pushed the results aside and said that Woodford Reserve and its parent company need to bargain with the local Teamsters union anyways. In his decision, Judge Gollin wrote, quote, "Overall, the timing and circumstance surrounding these actions are more than sufficient to infer unlawful motivation." U.S. stocks tumbled today following a surge in inflation data for March, which exceeded expectations. The Consumer Price Index revealed a 3.5% increase in consumer price over the past year, the highest jump in 6 months. The 10-year Treasury yield jumped to nearly 5% post-inflation report, affecting sectors like banking and technology. Despite the market reaction, experts suggest the Fed might wait for more data before making any policy adjustments. President Biden acknowledged the need for continued efforts to curb rising costs. With your Newsline Business Report, I'm Jack Ferretti.
WRHU News Time is 5:39. Thank you, Dorcas Amaru and Jack Ferretti, for those reports. Over 100 Long Island residents, advocates, and law enforcement personnel met at Theodore Roosevelt Executive and Legislative Building in Mineola this Monday, demanding Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman disband his makeshift Melissa plans. Blake Schiff's provisional sheriff program seeks to organize armed citizens who would not be part of any type of professional law enforcement agency and could be utilized to guard public spaces during what he defined as states of emergency. Applications for the program have already been released, and the details of how these individuals would be vetted and trained have been slim.
The state's Department of Education released a detailed 300-page report about Mayor Eric Adams' handling of city schools. Adams' authority over schools is set to end on June 30th. The report aims to provide insight for the upcoming decision on whether to continue this control. If Adams loses control, each school would have to pick its own leaders, potentially disrupting programs across America's largest school system. More research is needed before making a clear decision.
Authorities say that scams targeting senior citizens are on the rise. A recent report by the FBI reveals that more than 3,000 scams were reported on Long Island in 2023. According to the AARP, $73 million were stolen from Nassau County and $53 million in Suffolk County. Beth Finkel, the New York State director for the AARP, issued the following warning in an interview with News 12.
We have to be skeptical. We have to be cynical. We can't be trusting because these scammers, they are awfully smart.
Police are warning Long Islanders to be cautious of anyone contacting them asking for money.
Gloria Asamoah has been charged with the murder of her 5-year-old twins, George and Gianna Kantanka, who were found smothered. The children were found dead inside their Mount Hope apartment in December. The father was not present during the incident and cooperated with police. Asamoah was described as emotionally distraught and is currently in a psychiatric hospital.
9-year-old Mateo Soria has been missing since yesterday. This comes after Soria left his home and was previously seen on 125th Street in Manhattan. Police reported him wearing black pants and a black hooded sweater with colorful design. The NYPD describes him as 4 feet with black hair and brown eyes. Tip can be sent to the police by calling NYPD Crime Stoppers.
Police are searching for a suspect accused of stabbing a man with a screwdriver Monday afternoon. 60-year-old Derek Gardner was on the BX-22 bus in Fordham Center when a man stabbed Gardner's head with the tool before running off. Gardner said that the man was irritated by his humming and tapping of the seat. Gardner was taken to the hospital where he was treated for a head wound.
A medical examiner is looking into the cause of the death of a 25-year-old man who was found dead in a car in Queens Monday morning, and an unidentified man was originally found unconscious and unresponsive, along with another man in the back of the car, before being taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. No criminality is suspected and no drugs were found in the car, whereas beer bottles were found in the car. The medical examiner is currently investigating the cause of death.
A Levittown student was arrested after he was found with a BB gun at school. This comes after police were called to Division Avenue yesterday following reports of a student with a weapon. The school conducted a hold-in-place lockdown, and the situation was investigated by the Nassau County Police Department. Police have not yet confirmed what charges the student will face.
The developer of a luxury hotel in Melville has won preliminary approval for the $10.6 million in tax break for 15 years. The board of the Suffolk County Industrial Development Agency unanimously voted to approve the incentives for the Beechwood organization. The overall prospect will cost nearly $137 million in total and would cater to snowbirds, corporate executives, and new residents, and those looking for a place to stay while their homes are being repaired.
The New Jersey Transit Board of Directors vote on a 15% fare hike was approved this morning. This comes as New Jersey Transit faces a deficit in the upcoming fiscal year. The hike is the first in nearly a decade, and it is expected to take effect in July. The fare increase is widely unpopular, sparking protests across New Jersey Transit locations.
Calling all Long Islanders. Over 24 fire departments in Nassau and Suffolk County will be holding open houses this week. The initiative comes as part of their 15th annual Recruit NY membership drive in search of volunteer firefighters. The number of volunteer firefighters has decreased dramatically since post 9/11, which has nearly 120,000 members in comparison to today's 80,000. Officials say that they are looking for volunteers to perform a variety of duties, such as administrative positions, running hoses, and directing traffic, to name a few.
New York City residents allocate $1 million in city funds towards local projects. Participatory budgeting ballots opened in 24 city council districts on Saturday. All residents over 11 years old will decide on how the funds should be spent in their neighborhoods. With schools and parks adjusting to recent budget cuts, many New York residents are hoping to fund projects in those areas.
A small aftershock in New Jersey marked the 47th such occurrence since the magnitude 4.8 earthquake that occurred Friday. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the 2.6 magnitude aftershock quake hit near Gladstone, New Jersey, around 10:22 a.m. Just under 80 people felt the quake. The USGS says that this is normal and also expressed that aftershocks over 3 are unlikely.
Coming up, your Newsline entertainment report with Jasmine Sellers. But first, your Newsline traffic update with Dorcas Umaro. WRHU news time is 5:45.
Newsline. Up to the minute local traffic.
We are currently seeing standstill traffic on the Sunrise Highway caused by congestion and some pothole repairs. Please plan accordingly and allow extra time for your journey. Heavy traffic is building on the Long Island Expressway, so avoid that road if possible. Finally, watch out for congestion on the Northern State Parkway East with average speeds of under 20 miles per hour. Headed onto the Long Island Railroad, all trains are now operating on or close to schedule, but make sure to check with the MTA before setting out. The only branch currently experiencing issues is the West Hempstead branch, which has a boarding change. Heading into the skies, there is construction on runways at JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark that are putting some halts on departures to various locations. Please ensure you check with your providers for accurate timing. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we can expect a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 62 degrees. There may be a change of some showers moving in, so be sure to grab an umbrella if you're heading out. As we head into Friday, we can expect rain throughout the morning and a mix of sun and clouds with temperature in the mid-60s during the afternoon. So keep an eye on the forecast if you have outdoor plans. And as we look towards the weekend, Saturday and Sunday is shaping up to be beautiful days with plenty of sunshine and temperatures in the mid-70s. With your Newsline traffic and weather update, I'm Dorcas Umaro, WRHU.
Newsline. Entertainment.
The Lovebirds are in the news once again. Kansas City Chiefs player Travis Kelce had this to say about his infamous relationship with Taylor Swift.
I don't know how I did it because she wasn't into sports. So I don't know how I did it.
Well, you did it because you said you called her out on multimedia platform.
I know exactly how I did it.
Yeah.
The conversation was featured in the latest episode of his and Big Brother Jason Kelce's New Heights podcast. The show guest stars rapper Lil Dicky, who congratulated Kelce on bagging the billionaire pop star, saying, quote, "I think it's just the best thing ever." Kelce also says he appreciates the exposure the show receives from the Swifties, saying, quote, "I'm just having a blast in life, baby, just flying high." In other news, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, listen up. That Jon Snow sequel? Yeah, that isn't happening. In an AP News interview, actor Kit Harington said that pitches for the sequel have ceased.
It's not, there's no plans for it at the moment. It's off the table for the foreseeable. We threw around a few ideas, nothing really stuck, and we're going to leave it there for the moment.
Since the Game of Thrones season finale in 2019, HBO has only aired the show's prequel, House of Dragon, in 2022. Well, there's another update in the Sean P. Diddy Combs case. 3 women were accused of being sex workers in a $30 million lawsuit filed by music producer Lil Rod. The lawsuit accuses Diddy of sexual harassment, illegal gun distribution, and other allegations. Diddy has denied these claims. Since then, Diddy's ex, Young Miami, who was one of the alleged sex workers, wrote on social media, quote, "I am not a prostitute. I hate how this is getting spun." Model Jade Ramey and actor Daphne Joy, the other 2 alleged women, have also denied the allegations. For your Newsline Entertainment Report, I'm Jasmine Sellers, WRHU.
WRHU News Time is 5:49. Thank you, Dorcas Umaro and Jasmine Sellers, for those reports. The Food and Nutrition Service announced changes to federal program that helps pay for groceries for millions of low-income New Yorkers. Within 2 years, the program, known as New York WIC, is expected to see a bump in monthly cash vouchers for fruits and vegetables, canned fish, lactose-free milk, and other items. In an interview with News 12, Brooklyn local Salima Malik said that the changes are essential for families.
It is essential that the WIC program raises the allowance for parents because food is expensive. You know, $100 worth of groceries gets you a bag and a half of groceries, so it's essentials.
The recommendations to change in WIC's food plan come as the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine are expected to be implemented as early as June.
Former chief financial officer of the Trump Organization, Alan Weisselberg, has been sentenced to 5 months in jail for lying under oath during a civil fraud lawsuit against former President Trump. Weisselberg pled guilty last month to 2 counts of perjury. As part of the plea deal, he admitted to lying about the size of Trump's Manhattan penthouse and other company perks he received. His lawyer says Weisselberg accepted responsibility and looks forward to returning to his family.
The $78 billion bipartisan bill that would expand child tax credit and breaks for businesses is facing uncertainty among Senate and Republicans. The bill was passed by the Republican-led House back in January, but Senate Democrats now just need 9 votes to secure a majority vote. The bill would lift the cap on refundability for child tax credits, which will see multi-child families with low incomes receiving the most benefits if passed.
A bipartisan group is introducing the Countering Anti-Semitism Act to address the rise in anti-Semitism across the country. The bill is led by Senator Jackie Rosen and would create a new position of National Coordinator to counter anti-Semitism. The legislation requires federal agencies to report on their implementation of the administration's existing plan to address anti-Semitism. Additionally, it would formally establish Jewish American Heritage Month in federal law. The bill's sponsors say that this is a critical step to addressing the, quote, historic levels of anti-Semitism facing the Jewish community today.
President Biden has announced an increase in military cooperation with Japan. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and President Biden held a joint press conference in the White House Rose Garden earlier today, where they announced several new initiatives to deepen the defensive ties between the two countries. Among the initiatives in the inclusion of 2 Japanese astronauts in future American space missions and the creation of a joint air defense network between Japan, the U.S., and Australia. The deepening of ties comes as the response to growing Chinese aggression within the greater Asian region.
Floods have swamped Russia and Kazakhstan after Europe's 3rd longest river bursts. This comes after a dam collapsed this past Saturday. More than 100,000 people have been forced to evacuate. President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, said that this flooding is the biggest disaster in more than 80 years. Almost 13,000 residential buildings were flooded in the Orenburg region of Russia, causing over 7,000 people to be evacuated. The water levels reached just above 33 feet in Russia. Meanwhile, around 14,000 homes have been flooded in both countries.
Israel's foreign minister threatens direct action against Iran if the country launches an attack from its territory. Tensions between the two countries have been rising since Israel's attack on the Iranian embassy in Syria killed Iranian General Mohammad Reza Zahedri. Although the IDF has yet to comment on the strike, the Islamic Republic holds them responsible and have promised retaliation. Iranian Ayatollah Ali Khamenei reinforced the promise earlier today, likening the attack on the embassy as an attack on Iran itself.
Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh's 3 sons have been killed in an Israeli airstrike along the Gaza Strip. Haniyeh confirmed their deaths today, saying his sons were, quote, martyred on the road to liberating Jerusalem and the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Haniyeh said that these killings would not pressure Hamas into softening their positions. Israel and Hamas continue to be engaged in ceasefire talks.
The EU has voted to approve a massive overhaul of their migration system shortly before bloc elections. The new system seeks to reduce approval times for asylum seekers and expedite deportation processes for people to be deemed ineligible to stay. The moderate, conservative, and progressive factions led the charge to pass their reform in an attempt to stave off growing far-right factions in an upcoming elections this summer. Far-right groups have criticized the reform for not being tough enough against migration, and far-left groups believe it to be a violation of human rights. The reform will not take effect for another 2 years.
With the 2024 Olympics only being months away, World Athletics announced that track and field is set to become the first sport to win prize money. The gold medalist would win $50,000. President of World Athletics, Sebastian Coe, says the move is, quote, to recognize that the revenue share we receive is in large part because our athletes are the stars of the show. $2.4 million is being set aside by the governing body of athletics to pay gold medalists across the men's, women's, and mixed track and field events. Relay teams will split their prize of $50,000 between members. Silver and bronze medalists are set to receive payments in the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics.
Republican legislators in Tennessee pushed forward a bill to allow teachers to carry handguns on public school grounds, a policy that would mark one of the biggest gun access expansions in the state. Before receiving a 26-5 vote in the Senate, the chamber was filled with emotional chants from onlookers and speeches from Democratic lawmakers. State Senator Ramesh Akbari highlighted the proposal in comparison to lawmakers attempting to ban discussion of LGBTQ material in school.
A teacher is not allowed to put a rainbow flag on her desk, but she's allowed to carry a gun in this state. That's all I'll say.
The bill would now move to the House floor for a vote, and if passed, would bar disclosing which employees are carrying guns beyond school administrators and police.
Coming up, your Newsline Sports Break with Nate Taylor. WRHU News Time is 5:56 p.m.
From the Philip Cavallero Sports Desk, this is your Newsline Sports Update.
MLB, the Yankees are looking for their second series sweep of the season and fifth straight win tonight as they face the Marlins. The Pinstripes are coming off a 3-2 win last night in the Bronx. Alex Verdugo hit a solo shot, and the 27-year-old is now 4 for 6 in the series with 2 extra base hits. Marcus Stroman will make his third start on the mound tonight. In 12 innings so far, Stroman has tallied 10 strikeouts with just 2 walks and is yet to give up an earned run. First pitch is 7:05. Moving over to Queens, the Mets are going for back-to-back series victories tonight as they head into Game 3 against the Braves. Despite a 6-5 loss yesterday, Pete Alonso broke a 4-game no-hit streak with his second multi-hit game of the season. On the bump will be the lefty Jose Quintana. The Amazons hold a sub-3.5 ERA on the year, which is good enough for first in the National League. First pitch is 7:20. Baltimore, the Orioles are calling up the MLB's #1 prospect, Jackson Holliday. The first pick in the 2022 draft is scheduled to make his major league debut tonight in Boston. Holliday sported over 1,000 OPS in 10 games in the season down in AAA. NBA, the Nets are back at home for the final time this season as they face Toronto. The Nets are already eliminated from playoff contention and are locked in to finish as the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. Tip-off is 7:30. Across the bridge, the Knicks have finally completed their trade of Kristaps Porzingis back in 2019. After a Mavericks win last night, Dallas clinched a playoff spot which guarantees its 2024 top 10 protected first-round pick will go to the Knicks. The Knicks initially acquired the pick as a top 10 protected in last year's draft. Due to the Mavericks falling with the protections, the pick carried over to this year. The Knicks will now have at least 2 first-round selections come June. With your Newsline Sports Update, I'm Nate Taylor.
And that will do it for tonight's edition of Newsline. Many thanks to the entire WRHU News team. Engineering our show this evening is the crafty Jason Spiller, and a special thank you to our tech assistant, Alondra Nolasco Rojas.
Thank you for tuning in to Newsline, only here on your 4-time Marconi Award-winning radio station, 88.7 FM, Radio Hofstra University.
Access real-time, local Long Island, New York, and global news, along with content from WRHU Talent Monday through Thursday, 5:30 to 6 p.m.
And tune back in from 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday morning for our talk show, where we discuss Long Island life, national news, and international issues from the minds and mouths of Hofstra students on the morning wake-up call.
And lastly, check us out on social media at WRHU News for behind-the-scenes content.
For Newsline, I'm Cameron Bowden.
And I'm Peter Nicolino.
Thank you for listening.
And have a great night.
Newsline is a presentation of Long Island's largest radio news team, comprised of nationally recognized student broadcasters, winners of numerous awards from the Associated Press, Society of Professional Journalists, Radio Television News Directors Association, Hearst Corporation, Long Island Press Club, and other prestigious organizations. Newsline is researched and produced by student journalists using the Hofstra News Hub, cutting-edge multimedia news gathering technology, located in Hofstra's School of Communication. To learn more about News Hub and the Hofstra School of Communication, log on to hofstra.edu. To learn more about News Hub and the Hofstra School of Communication, log on to WRHU.org.